Don't tell me you're still doing these to improve your core strength. Although they have their place, they're not really a functional strength-based movement to improve core strength. So I'm going to show you 5 things that you're probably not doing, which I believe are highly beneficial and quite possibly the best exercises to build true core strength. Let's go. When it comes to training your core, people have this misconception that your core is just your abs, and it's actually not. And when people have a strong core, as they like to think, they're aware that actually what it helps do is support the lower back, because if you ever have back problems or injuries, you know that people who have a weak core tend to suffer more with back injuries. But not only that, they're scared if their back goes. Me too. So you've got to be careful of that. And some people avoid certain things because it hurts their back. Now, if some exercise does hurt your back, there's a possibility that you might have to avoid it, or it's just a matter of changing it up to get either the right technique or change to an alternative exercise. So the first of these 5 exercises that are going to help your core. Remember, core, I want you to remember this, it's not just your abs. Your abs are part of it. Your core is your trunk. It's basically the thing in the middle of your body that supports you. So we're talking lower back, even into lats, your obliques, your abdominals, etc. It's your whole trunk around the center. Now, although sit-ups have their place and they can help with working the ab muscles, you know, you see a lot of boxers doing them to condition their abs, but you've got to bear in mind these boxers are taking hard hits to the stomach. So what they want to do is make them as tough and hard as possible to be able to absorb impact. For most people, it's not necessary to do that to get a strong core. Here's my first best core exercise. Kettlebell front squats. Now you can do this with a bar, however kettlebell's a more easily accessible movement, and I feel you'll be able to pick up the technique better, and especially in the gym, if all the bars are taken, you'll always usually find a kettlebell that's free. So start light, bring the kettlebells at what we call the rack position, which is the front rack. Ideally your elbows pointing down, resting on your ribs, and your thumbs close to your collarbone, yeah? A lot of people have them out here, makes it very difficult, or they have them up here and start wobbling about, yeah? This is the proper way to do a kettlebell front squat. Now if you take it from a side, bear in mind I have a bit of a dodgy ankle, so you will see my ankle raised probably. Hips back, maximal hip bend, maximal knee bend. So the idea, once you start tilting, right, what will happen is you've got weight on the front here, so you'll feel yourself tilting this way. Now if you don't use that core to pull your chest up and keep these kettlebells up, they're just going to fall off, right? So this is where your core gets activated and engaged. It's impossible to not activate your core when doing a kettlebell squat, if it's of a challenging weight. Obviously if you've got a 1 or 2 kilo, maybe not challenging, but everyone's going to be individual. So to the bottom, low as you can, drive up. Notice I'm looking forward as I do this, I'm not looking down. So if I look down, I'll fall down. Yes, you want to try and keep a flat back as best as possible. Squat as deep as you can get, drive up. Always take a little bit slow on the way down if possible. Control the movement, but always stand up fast. Very rarely would you be doing a squat where you'd stand up in a slow motion. Usually you would stand up and drive the heels down, drive the knees apart, chest up, fire up as fast as you can. Slow control on the way down, fire up. It's impossible not to be working your core when you're doing a kettlebell front squat. In terms of rep ranges, it's all going to depend on your goal. Start with maybe 3 or 4 sets of 10. Number 2, again, we're going to use a kettlebell. Kettlebells are so versatile, man, and they're usually always accessible in every gym. So weighted carries are a very underutilized and underrated movement that massively helps your core strength. So obviously you've got to start with a weight that's comfortable that you can do with correct form and technique. So I'm just using a 10 kilo kettlebell for demonstration purposes. If I was to do this, I would maybe use a 36, 32, 40 kilo, something like that. But one hand, they're called suitcase carries. Why? It's like you're carrying a suitcase. You carry a suitcase in one hand. Why is this a great core movement? Well, as you walk with the weight by your side, you have to activate your core. Otherwise, what will happen? Just pull you down. Automatically, you're just holding a weight there. You are pulling and compensating on one side of your core. You're using your abdominals, your obliques, etc., your lower back to keep stable and upright. Now, as soon as I put this kettlebell in your hand, you wouldn't stand like this, would you? Unless the weight was ridiculously heavy and you couldn't pick it up, you would stand here. And as you walk, you would keep a tall posture, and you walk with me by the side. And you would walk, and you would walk, and you would walk. Now, how far you would walk would depend. If Depends on how long you've got of a track, etc. You could do, 4 to 6 sets of this with a decent weight. This is about 20 meters, I think, there and back. Then you could just swap the hand and do the other side. So, and you do this with a weight that is very challenging and feels heavy. You're going to challenge your core, your grip, your stability, and your whole body. This is a great core strengthening exercise. Now this position is the common position for many people who are undertaking a class or in a gym. This is the rest little bitch position. However, joking aside, planking again is one of the best things you can do for your core. There's a lot of people in the world, men and women, cannot do a 60-second plank, let alone a 2-minute plank. Do you know there's not a very high percentage of the world that can do a 2-minute plank? So if you can do a 2-minute plank, you're in a very small percentage of the population that can actually, do something strong and challenging with their core strength. So you can do a plank a couple of ways. Yes, there's variations of it, but the standard plank is on the elbows, shoulder in line with the elbow, on your toes, nice, still body. Now what you tend to see some people do is they'll hang their hips down. That's wrong, that'll hurt your lower back. You want to be in the middle, sort of your butt, your hips, more or less kind of either in line or slightly below your shoulders, yeah? So you're not up here either. Loads of people do a plank like this. Now in yoga, they call this a down dog, and it's a rest position. This in a plank, kind of like a rest position really. You're not, it'll get fairly challenging after a while, but you can hold this for a long time. To do a plank properly, and I say this to my guys all the time, arse down. Sometimes I have to give the arse up, and the flagging and the knees are near the ground, but in the middle. Don't put your arse up, right? Straight away I can feel this in my core. I can feel this in my legs, in my shoulders. But this is a great core strengthening exercise. You can also do a plank on the hands, which is sometimes a little bit easier actually, doing it on the plank and on the elbows. And again, every time you do it, shoulders over the wrists. If I was to draw a straight line down from my shoulders to my wrists, so I'm not back here, yeah? Chin in front of the thumbs. Where's my chin? If I was to draw a straight line down to the floor from my chin, it should be in front of my thumbs. That's a solid plank, yeah? Nice straight line down from my shoulders to my heels. Nice and strong. Turn the biceps to the front, yeah? So try not to do this. Turn the biceps open and keep strong. That's a strong, good, excellent core exercise. Number 4, which is amazing for core strength, and not everybody can do them. However, everybody can do an assisted one in some way, usually. Pull-ups. Now, you tend to find men gravitate better towards pull-ups than women do, just because they have usually better upper body strength. Females tend to have better lower body dominance, so they do better with squats and glute bridges and lunges and things like that than men do. So, but even some men cannot do a strict pull-up and have to do it aided, which is fine, by the way, if you're starting off. Absolutely fine. You can add in negatives, things like that. But let's just talk about the pull-up. At the end of the day, you cannot pull your body up without engaging your core. You just can't. You cannot pull up without tightening and squeezing the core. And you can't lower yourself down without engaging your core either. Otherwise, you'll just fall completely and drop. So a pull-up is a fantastic core exercise. Now, there's several different ways to do pull-ups or chin-ups, however you call them. The easier way is what we call a supinated grip, which is palms facing in. You could do a parallel grip, a diagonal grip, or a pronated grip, which is your palms facing away. That's the harder style pull-up that you see a lot of athletes doing. Now, you've got to choose, I feel, when you're starting off, a close grip with the palms facing in. That is the easiest one to get a handle on first, and this is usually the one that beginners would start with. Intermediate, you could play around with a parallel grip or an overhand, but I wouldn't recommend starting with an overhand grip. Now, if we're doing pull-ups, grip-wise, you can vary it, but 4 to 6 inches is probably a good starting point. If I was to demonstrate a full pull-up from the ground, bear in mind, I've been doing pull-ups 20-odd years. So what you'll see is a lot of experience. However, if you're starting off, I wouldn't be expecting you to be able to pull to the top and come straight down unless you have a great level of pull, grip, core strength anyway. But there's ways you can progress it. Very simply, the easiest way is to get on one of the machines that offers you the aid where you put your knees on, or you use a strong band to put a knee in. When you use a strong band, you tie it tight at the top, you pull it down and let the knee sit in, and that will give you a massive aid on the way up. So now my body comes nice and high. With a pull-up or chin-up, you should always be looking to get the chin to at least touching the bar, ideally over, yeah? So what some people will do is they'll pull and they'll only get to there. You're not really doing much if you only get to there. You want to be able to have enough aid, whether that be the platform or a nice thick strong band, to be able to get your chin to the top so you can come down, or choose an alternative, which I'll show you very briefly. An easier alternative if you can't do a pull-up is to set up a bar at around maybe waist height, belly button height, and walk yourself underneath it. Make sure you're on a rack that's stable. The higher your feet are, the easier it is, and you can pull your torso towards the bar and extend slowly. This is an easier variation. Obviously you could do it this underhand or over, whichever is your preference, whatever your maybe weakest start. Reps of 8 to 10, up to the top, slowly down. The higher up you are, the easier this is. The lower down you are, the harder it becomes. And the more you bend your knees, the more you can use your legs to aid you up and bring yourself down slowly. Rep range, you could work anywhere from 5 to 10 reps. Build it up maybe 3, 4, 5 sets to begin with. That, again, is a decent core exercise. And the 5th best exercise for core strength is eat your protein. So we've just got our lunch here. We've got tuna and lentils and veg. And here's the thing, right? You can look all day for the best exercises for this and that and whatever. But if you're eating crap and you're not eating a high protein diet and you're not eating a good nutritious diet as well, with fruits and vegetables and good single ingredient foods, very little of the work is going to make a massive difference. Yes, you see strong men getting ridiculously strong by eating 10,000 calories of crap per day, but that's not my bag. If you want true core strength that lasts, then you've got to eat a decent quality diet, and protein is one of the things that most people are lacking. Once you up your protein levels and you increase some kind of resistance training, be it body weight training, kettlebells, something like that, you will notice a difference in your core strength. But you cannot out-train a bad diet. So use this as a great reminder that there are several exercises which are great to do out there, but no exercise is going to out-train a bad diet. So get a handle not just on your exercise, but on your food as well. And if you need some more help with that, don't hesitate to get in contact with me. Look in the comments, find a way to message me and email me about one of my programs or anything I can do to possibly help you. See you on the next one. If you'd like to learn how to create outstanding levels of energy, motivation and self-control, my second book, Supercharged, The Modern Day Guide to Doing Exactly That, is out now.